They're saying that this House Bill 245 is just to be able to protect the youth, and it's just towards and allocated around the LGBTQ plus community and the entertainment aspect of the LGBTQ plus community. When it is not. First and foremost, the stage of entertainment was the originator of bringing awareness of changes that needed to happen, of injustices, of discriminations, of inequalities, of freedoms that are not accessible, of oppression, of barriers, of blockages. Of educational reform. For example, we have the late Mr. Robin Williams, who played in Mrs. Doubtfire. That movie was not just a source of entertainment of seeing a guy dress up as a woman and making jokes and laughing in order so that he could be around his kids. It was a stand-up for single parents, divorced parents, widowed parents. I'm saying, hey, I can still take care of my child. Hey, whether male or female, I can still give a great life to my child. And still be able to use my uniqueness, my individuality. The things seemed and deemed different by not conforming to the will of others, by being able to embrace everything that I am and use that in a way to make a substantial livelihood. But by spreading joy, because I feel that joy, because I'm happy by living my truth and am able to embrace my truth, because I am not alone and there are others that feel that very same way. Through my experiences of being able to share the hope and the joy of overcoming those setbacks, those misunderstandings, those barriers, those obstacles, those trials and tribulations, and making them triumphs. Or the Wayans brothers, or the Wayans family, who've had sitcoms like In Living Color, and movies like The White Chick, saying, hey, regardless of where it is that we live, how good we feel our lives are, we have these little problems, these little things that seem to be so much that nobody else can understand. Because I have to wear this mask and play this role to fit into someone else's box in order to be accepted, in order to be loved, in order to be seen. By using comical relief of being able to look back and go, you know what, I did overcome that. You know, I went through that same thing. I can see it that way. And turning pain into motivation. Or Whoopi Goldberg, who played in the movie The Associate, where she had to dress up as a white man, a white male, to be taken seriously in her business. Because when she had those very same ideas, she wasn't giving a second to even be able to express them. That it can't possibly be as good as it was. to dress up as a white male to point out the injustices, the inequalities, the barriers, the oppression, the setbacks, the obstacles that a female or an African American or African American female has to go through in order to just become successful. Because they're not given a second look or a third look or even a fifth look. They're completely brushed off with the same great ideas. And she proved that by going and dressing up as a white male. The very same ideas, the very same individual, the very same mind was the very same person, but was perceived amongst a group that was more acceptable. The very same thing is happening with this bill of 245. The very same thing is happening down in Florida with DeSantis stating that slavery was a benefit to some African Americans. The very same thing that's happening with the abortion laws. Even though they're not seeing the greater impact of what's going to happen with the already overcrowded and homelessness and misplaced individuals because of the economy. Because of already depleted and stressed medical system. What is going to happen with these youth, but yet we are stated to have our priorities backwards and not be in the right place? How about instead of passing these legislatures that gave further oppression, discrimination, how about we pass legislatures that actually do protect the youth? Like a legislature that protects the youth from being shot down in public at a simple community gathering by gun violence should be a priority. Protecting youth from being victims of rape and molestation should be a priority. Protecting youth from educational discrimination and bias and barriers should be a priority. Protecting youth from financial ruin due to a cycle of debt and the wavering economy should be a priority. Protecting youth from war should be a priority. Protecting youth from illnesses, mental and physical, should be a priority. Protecting youth and women from having babies that barely live a day should be a priority. Protecting youth from being entered into the foster care system and group homes should be a priority. Protecting youth from kidnapping should be a priority. Protecting youth from growing up in a world where there is discrimination and injustice against their race, creed, beliefs, ethnicity, economic status, and educational disparities due to an unequal educational system, or their sexual orientation, or their gender alignment should be a priority. Protecting youth from lead poisoning and unhealthy drinking water should be a priority. Protecting youth from man-made climate change should be a priority. Protecting youth from homelessness and job loss should be a priority. Protecting youth from bullying and suicide should be a priority. Protecting youth from not learning the truth about their history and their cultures should be a priority. Protecting youth from starvation should be a priority. Protecting youth from poverty by teaching financial literacy and freedom should be a priority. Protecting youth from losing fathers due to police brutality and discrimination should be a priority. Not another form of discrimination, injustice, oppression, and colonization of the LGBTQ2+ community and the Hispanics and the Latinas and the Asians community should be a priority. Because of conformity to others' truths and not their own. We are not a social experiment to be conditioned as a bunch of baby Alberts, fearing to live, love, and live in our truths and our authenticity as we deem fit to do so. Should be a priority. Protecting youth from deportation and growing up without parents due to unfair immigration laws should be a priority. We have a naturalization test that people that grew up in the United States cannot even pass. Protecting youth from living in a world with depleted natural resources and protected lands should be a priority. This is not just an attack on the LGBTQ2+ community, but just like the many other groups that I have mentioned, the African Americans, the Africans, the Native Americans, Hispanics, Latinas, Asian, Japanese, Chinese, and others. This is just a door into the hall of further injustices, limitations, inequality, discrimination, oppression, and exploitation. This is just the doorway into keeping up a cycle of death, destruction, barriers, obstacles, having to jump through hoops that others have placed. The same principles that those that came over to establish the 13 colonies was escaping from what they deemed to be oppressive has been going on here for centuries upon centuries upon centuries. When is it going to stop and when is it going to change? The bullied became the bulliers. The same thing that was done to them, they set laws and precedents to be done to others. But they say, oh, it's okay because guess what? It's not us. There's a choice to be made. And change is afoot. And change is now. Now. It is now. For all walks of life. We have people writing precedents and laws excluding people that actually are amongst those communities that, oh, well, but we're doing this to help you, but yet not understanding what the problem is, what the issue is. Now open up communication. Instead of asking, instead of seeking to gain understanding and clarity, whether one chooses to agree or disagree or agree to disagree. Just accusation. Having to prove one's innocence and being labeled as guilty. Change is afoot. Change is afoot. And that change is now.